Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we will be discussing the previous year questions asked from Western political thought in CUET PG Political Science Entrance Exam. We will be analyzing the question papers of 2025, 24, 23 and 22. So let's begin. Let's see the first question. Knowledge without justice ought to be called cunning rather than wisdom. Who said these words? So we know that Plato says knowledge is a virtue and a truly wise person must also be morally good. So because of that, knowledge or intelligence without justice becomes mere cleverness. He gives these ideas in his book, The Republic. So the answer to this question is Plato. The next question. According to Rawls, the correct principles of justice are determined by. We know that in his theory of justice, Rawls says that the principles of justice are chosen in a hypothetical situation under the veil of ignorance. So, the principles of justice are determined by option 4, the choice that rational individuals would make in a hypothetical situation. Next question. According to Aristotle, what was the perverted form of aristocracy? Aristotle has given 6 forms of government based on who rules and for whose good. So, if one ruler is ruling for common good, it is a monarchy, and the perverted form of monarchy, which means the ruler is ruling for his own self-interest, it is called tyranny. Similarly, few rulers ruling for common good is aristocracy, and for their self-interest is oligarchy. The perverted form of aristocracy, oligarchy, and many rulers ruling for common good is polity, and for their private interest is democracy. So, the perverted form of aristocracy is oligarchy. Who among the following political thinkers consider the state of nature as war of every man against every man? Hobbes says that humans are self-interested, equal and fearful, and this leads to conflict and competition. So, this competition is there to gain resources, and there is also fear for safety. So, because of this, people attack first because they are afraid of being attacked. And because of all this, the state of nature is in a condition of war. So, because they don't want violent death and for self preservation, people agree to a social contract and create a sovereign. So, this is the condition of this state of nature. Everyone is in a war against everybody else. So, Thomas Hobbes says in his book Leviathan, he describes the state of nature as a war of every man against every man, and he describes the state of nature as solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short because of all these reasons. So, the answer is Thomas Hobbes. Arranged in a chronological order, Karl Marx's idea of historical stages of society. So, here I have given in this table all the stages of historical development by Karl Marx. So, the first stage is primitive communism, where there is no class and there is common ownership of everything. After that comes the slave society, where masters and slaves are the two classes, and direct ownership of labor is the direct ownership of the labor of the slaves is for the masters. And the third stage, feudalism, the main class is lords and serfs. This is a land-based hierarchy where the lords own the land and serfs are tied to the land. The next stage is capitalism. The classes are bourgeois and proletariat, and there is wage labor, and there is exploitation of surplus value of the proletariat by the bourgeois. And the next stage is socialism. Socialism, and there is a working class and there is collective ownership of everything. And the last stage is communism, which is a classless, stateless, propertyless society. So, in this question, the correct answer is A, B, C, D, option 4. Who among the following political thinkers said that man is born free and he is everywhere in chains? So, here Rousseau wrote in his social contract, the social contract, book 1, chapter 1, man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains. So what does Rousseau mean by that? Rousseau believed that in this state of nature, humans were naturally free. That is, humans were free from domination by others. Humans were free from social hierarchies. That is why he says that man is born free. And what does this chains mean? Chains mean that when we developed as a civilization, that corrupted our natural freedom. That means because of the emergence of private property, because of the emergence of modern laws and the emergence of modern society, create these all these created social inequalities and hierarchies in the society. So that is why he says man is born free, but everywhere he's in chains because of this social inequalities and hierarchies because of the modern society. So does Rousseau want us to return to primitive life? No, he doesn't want human beings to return to primitive life. Instead, he says that we have to create a political system where people obeys laws but remains free at the same time. So how is this possible, to obey law and remain free at the same time? He gives two conditions. People themselves have to collectively create the law. That is the first condition. Second, these laws have to be for the common good. So in these two conditions, obeying the law means obeying oneself. And this is called civil freedom. Civil freedom means freedom under the laws we collectively create through a social contract based on our general way. So the answer to this question is option 3, Rousseau. Which of the following statements are correct about Rousseau's concept of the general will? Rousseau, in his discourse on political economy, stated the concept of general will. General will is driven towards the preservation and welfare of the whole and of every part. The general will comes from all and applies to all. It embodies the free rational will of all. So, general will, Rousseau says, talks about two wills, the general will or real will and actual will or particular will. General will is the, it is a shared, general will focuses on shared common good and it is for public interest. It is moral and collective, whereas particular will is the sum of individual interests. It is private interest oriented and it focuses on self interest and it is fragmented. So, for Rousseau, general will is the collective will of the people directed towards the common good, forming the basis of legitimate sovereignty. So, sovereignty lies with the people. And he says individuals must be forced to be free. Means that disobeying the general will means acting against their own best interest as citizens. So, people have to be made to follow the collective decision, and that is actual freedom. That is why he says individuals must be forced to be free in this context. So, the B, C and D are anyway correct according to this. And A, Rousseau in his discourse on political economy stated the concept of general will. He has discussed the concept of general will in for the first time in discourse on political economy. He further develops it in his social contract, but for the first time he discusses this concept in discourse on political economy only. So all four statements are correct. Next question. According to J.S. Mill, the rational ground for coercion of an individual is. We know that J.S. Mill has given the concept of self regarding action and other regarding actions. In self regarding action, the individual has complete freedom, and in other regarding actions, society can interfere if that action is harming others. So he gives the harm principle. In the harm principle, he says the only rational ground for coercion of an individual is the prevention of harm to others. He talks about this in his book on liberty. So when it comes to other regarding actions, if it is for prevention of harm to others, then in that situation the individual can be coerced. This is his harm principle. So the answer to this question is self-preservation. Self-preservation in the sense self-preservation of the other people to prevent harm to others. Which among the following is not the major law of dialectical materialism? So the law of dialectical materialism has been given by Karl Marx. Let's see the options. The law of unity and conflict of opposites, the law of negation, the law of transition of quantity into quality, the law of equality of materialistic dialectics. So these three laws, these are the core principles of dialectical materialism. Unity and struggle of opposite means every system contains contradictions. For example, in capitalism, bourgeois and proletariat are there, right? That those are the two classes in capitalism. So these two classes are always struggling against each other, but at the same time, for capitalism to exist, bourgeois and proletariat class also needs to exist. So that is what it says: unity and struggle of opposites. Every system contains contradictions. So first option is correct. And transformation of quantity into quality means gradual changes lead to sudden transformation, and small economic crisis, which is a quantitative thing, right? Economic crisis, it is quantifiable, that leads to a big qualitative change such as a revolution. Negation of negation. Each stage replaces the previous ones but retains some elements. For example, feudalism changes to capitalism, capitalism to socialism. So this is negation of negation. So first three are correct. The law of equality of materialistic dialectics, there is no equality or anything. It is always contradiction. So this statement is wrong. So this is the answer. Who among the following thinkers gave the concept of virtu? So, virtu in Machiavelli gives the concept of virtu. He says that the virtu is the practical qualities such as boldness, intelligence, strategic ruthlessness that enable a ruler to successfully gain and maintain power. He talks about virtu in his book, The Prince. Next, let's see the questions of 2024. Which of the following statements are correct about Marx's concept of historical materialism? So, historical materialism is Marx's theory that the material economic conditions of society determine its structure and historical development through class struggle. So, if you see the option C here, Marx contends that the political structure of society constituted by its relations of production is the real foundation of society. Actually, this statement is wrong because it is not the political structure of society, but the material economic structure which forms the base. She talks about base and superstructure, right? So, economic conditions are the base constituted by relations of production is the real foundation of society. So, this statement is wrong. So, here three options are there which contains option C. So, we can eliminate that and the answer is option 1. Let's see the other options. The term historical materialism refers to the materialistic conception of history. Engels credited Marx with being the originator of historical materialism. The society's relations of production corresponds to a definite stage of development of material productive forces. So, in this statement, what it means is that the society is divided into two, right? The base and superstructure. So in the base, what it is, the material economic conditions, and in the superstructure, it is the political superstructure. So in the economic base, there is modes of production, and mode of production is divided into two: forces of production and relations of production. So how the relations of production are formed when there is a particular stage of development in the productive forces. For example, when industrial revolution happens, what happens? There is a development of machines and such kind of tools, and in that situation, what happens? There arises a relation of production, right? There arises a capitalist class which has ownership of the machines and of the tools, and then there is a worker class or a proletariat class who does the labor. So it is the forces of production. These material forces are what corresponds or what creates the specific relations of production at that specific time. So option B is also correct. Okay. According to Locke, following are the natural rights of the people. Right to equality. So this is a very simple question. According to Locke, right to life, liberty, and property are the natural rights of the people. So this he gives in his book, two treaties of government. Right to life, liberty, and property are the natural rights of the people. In which of Marx's writings is it said the history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles? So he says this in his Communist Manifesto written in the year 1848. The earlier known example of direct democracy Athens. It's a very simple question. Who among the following is the author of the book Statesman? Statesman has been written by Plato. Okay, option 3. Which among the following political thinkers argued that man is by nature a political animal? This is one of the most famous quotes of Aristotle. Aristotle says that human beings are naturally social and political beings. They can live fully only within a polis. Like for their for leading a good life, human beings need polis, and because of that, human beings are man is by nature a political animal. Aristotle. Now let's match the following. We have to match the books with the author. So the Republic is written by Plato, Leviathan by Hobbes, and two treatises of government by Locke. So we don't have to know who has written this. So this is the last remaining option. We can just match that with Machiavelli. And here Jasmine has written On Liberty, Machiavelli has written The Prince. So just by matching these two, we can get the answer, option 2. Okay. John Rawls, Theory of Justice and Nazi, Anarchy State and Utopia. Who among the following political thinkers said equals should be treated as equals and unequals should be treated as unequals? This is the concept of proportional equality by Aristotle. According to Aristotle, in his book Nicomachean Ethics, justice consists in treating equals equally and unequals unequally in proportion to their relevant differences, thereby ensuring proportional fairness. Thucydides's text on the Peloponnesian War is a story between which ancient state? So the Peloponnesian War, if you know, it has been fought between Athens and Sparta, and you don't have to know who wrote the text or what this text is about. Just know that this war was fought between Athens and Sparta. Rousseau's political philosophy furnished the basis for Rousseau's theory of popular sovereignty holds that the supreme political authority resides in the people collectively and is expressed through the general will aimed at the common good, social contract. So these are all just basic things. Popular sovereignty. Option 1. Chronologically arrange the writings of Karl Marx according to the year of publication. So here I have given a mnemonic to remember the major writings of Marx. Every German philosopher makes brave critique during Gotha. So E is economic and philosophic manuscripts. G, German ideology, or from German ideology. Philosopher, poverty of philosophy. M makes M manifesto. Brave, Brumaire, critique of political economy. D, the capital, Gotha program. So just study this. Now we will see questions of the year 2023. An example of direct democracy is obviously Athenian type. The book authored by John Rawls on justice in international relations is. So John Rawls discusses international justice in his book The Law of Peoples, where he extends his theory of justice to the global level. Okay. Global level, the book is The Law of Peoples. According to Plato's theory of men and matters, the rulers have. So he has given his theory of men and metals, whereas if you have gold in your soul, you are the ruler. If you have silver in your soul, you are supposed to be a soldier, and if you have bronze in your soul, you are supposed to be producers or farmers. Which among the following is not Marx's law of dialectics? So this we discussed previously. So increasing quantity leads to qualitative change and not quality leads to quantitative change. So this is not. Thomas Hobbes defines sovereignty as. So we know that Thomas Hobbes says in the state of nature, life is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish and short. And he defines sovereignty in his book Leviathan as the absolute and indivisible authority of either a ruler or an assembly, and it is derived from the social contract to ensure peace, security and order. And this absolute sovereign is not part of the social contract and he is above the law. So monopoly means only one authority holds it, not shared among multiple rulers. The power is not divided. And coercive power means they have the ability to enforce laws, punish disobedience, and maintain order. So the answer is 3. The monopoly of coercive power of a singular ruler. Singular means undivided power, undivided authority or power. That is what singular ruler means. Coercive power means they have the ability to enforce law, punish disobedience, and to maintain order. Which among the following is a book by Machiavelli? So discourses is written by Machiavelli. So when we discuss question papers, it is not enough that you know the answer of the question, but you have to see the other options also and study that also, because there is very high chance that the options get repeated in coming exams. Who among the following scholars presented Hobbes' state of nature as a society of interested competitive individualism? So, this is some concept given by C.B. Macpherson in his book The Political Theory of Possessive Individualism. He interpreted Hobbes' state of nature as one of self-interested competitive individualism. So that just remember it like that. In which of Aristotle's works it is stated that the highest good for human beings is happiness attained through moral and intellectual virtue. So this is the concept of eudaimonia given by Aristotle in his book Nicomachean Ethics. He defines eudaimonia as the highest human good achieved through rational activity in accordance with virtue, representing a complete and flourishing life. The book is Nicomachean Ethics. So here in the option 3, it is given Eudemian Ethics, which can be confusing, but the book is Nicomachean Ethics. The concept is eudaimonia. Given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion and the other is labeled as reason. Assertion, according to Plato, the state is individual writ large. Reason, the virtues found in an individual are found in larger form in the state. So both these statements are correct because that this reason is obviously the virtues found in an individual are found in larger form in the state. That is the meaning of the state is individual writ large. So both A and R are correct and R is the correct explanation of A. Given below is Karl Marx's formulation of base and superstructure in a jumbled order. Give the correct order. So D, B, A, C is the correct order. D, in a social production of life, men enter into definite relations. The relations are indispensable and independent of their way. The relations are relations of production which correspond to a definite stage of development of their material productive forces. The sum total of these relations of production constitute the economic structure of the society, the real foundation of a given society. So this same thing I discussed previously, what this means, like the relations are relations of production which correspond to a definite stage of development of their material productive. This I have discussed in the previous slides, so please refer to that once. It's a very simple question. It's a basic idea of Karl Marx's theory. Next, we have to match the philosopher with their central idea. Machiavelli says about seizing absolute authority. Hobbes discusses about the concept of self-preservation. Locke gives a concept of limited government, and Rousseau about general way. These are all basic questions. Given below are two statements. In the light of above statements, choose the most appropriate answer from the options given below. Plato stated that the state comes into existence originating in the bare needs of the life and continuing in existence for the sake of good life. So this statement is wrong because wherever you see the sake of good life, a state existing for the sake of good life, that is attributed to Aristotle, to Plato. Statement 2. Machiavelli in The Prince considered that the power which has authority over men is the state. So this statement has been said. This statement is attributed to Machiavelli only. So statement 1 is incorrect, but 2 is correct. Option 4. Now let's come to the questions asked in 2022. The author of Essay on Toleration is J.S. Mill. The author of Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle. John Rawls is a social contractarian because he has given his theory of social contract theory. Leviathan was written by Hobbes. Okay, so on top of all this, you should learn the other books written by these writers and also by all the authors given the options. That also you will have to see. Who among the following is considered as a reluctant Democrat? So the answer is J.S. Mill. J.S. Mill is called a reluctant Democrat because he supported representative government and individual liberty but was cautious about unrestricted majority rule. Now, Considerations on Representative Government was authored by. So this book was authored by J.S. Mill, and these are the other books written by J.S. Mill: System of Logic, Principles of Political Economy, On Liberty, Utilitarianism, Considerations on Representative Government, The Subjection of Women, and 3 essays on religion, which was published after his death. So also see the books and the chronology also of the books. So these are all the questions asked from Western political thought in previous years from 2022 to 2025. Please see all the slides and make notes of your own and revise, and all the best for your coming exam. Thank you.